Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of Leadership Simplified. My name is Rushil Rungta, and I am a student at Temasek Primary School in Singapore. As the head prefect of my school, I am always looking for ways to improve my leadership skills. Hence, Leadership Simplified is my attempt to chat with leaders from different walks of life and learn from their experiences. Today, I will be interviewing Mr. Abhay Anand Singh, the founder of Vistas Media Capital. His company has produced some award winning movies and has plans for many exciting new things in the world of entertainment. Welcome, Mr. Abhay Anand Singh.
Hi, Rushil. Glad to be here.
Thanks for joining me on this podcast. Now, as you are aware, this is a podcast about young leaders like me, learning from the experiences of successful people like you. So, let me begin with a question that I face most frequently these days. So, very soon I will be moving to a secondary school, and I'm often asked the question, what would I like to be? I have a few areas of interest, and my answers are always related to only those interests. Whereas in your case, you studied finance and worked in banks for 10 years, but you are now in a completely different line of business. This puzzles me and brings up so many questions in my mind. Did you actually want to be in banking? How did you choose banking?
Uh, Rushil, when I was growing up, uh, I was always very passionate about media and films. And I used to watch a lot of films because my dad was in the business of films. What happened eventually is that, I wasn't exposed enough to understand how does one make career in films, for example. I was too young, and the opportunities that exist today wasn't available then. So like any young kid, I pursued education. I was in Delhi in India, and then I did my graduation, and I realized MBA was the right thing for me to do. So I pursued MBA, and life took its own track. I got interested in finance. I got into banking through a campus placement.
Right.
So I kept pursuing my career thereafter in banking. Now what happens is that after a point in time in life, sometimes you wonder if you know exactly what you enjoy doing the most. And there came a point in time when I said to myself that maybe I enjoy the field of films and the field of creativity.
Right.
And it was accidental that I got a gap of a year in some restructuring that was happening in my fund, and I decided to venture into films. And ever since then, I have enjoyed it so much that I never found a reason to go back again. So yes, uh, going into banking was a choice that I made, but I would say that was a more conscious choice. Not to get into films was again an unconscious choice, because I never knew what is an opportunity that exists in that space. But once I had spent enough time in banking and I understood the business of films, I got into it. So, in life, sometimes there's a time for everything. And I thought my time into films had come 10 years back. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, actually, I totally agree because even my father has spoken to me about it that, in those times there were very limited options, career options, like, being a doctor or being in banking. So, yes, I understand now. And I really agree with you that, one should pursue his passion. And, it was like movies and entertainment was your roots. Now, you have done things that nobody has done before. You held a Southeast Asian movie festival. You are the first Singapore. You are CEO of the first Singaporean to company to list a SPAC in Nasdaq. Honestly, I have no idea what a SPAC is, but I know a bit about stocks because my father himself is a banker. So my question is, what should I do to be able to do things that nobody has ever done?
It's not absolutely compulsory to do something that nobody else has done. In the first place, sometimes you may do something better than what somebody else has done, but it will be still the same thing, right? So I don't think, it's absolutely necessary to do something which is new. Having said so, it's very important to keep thinking, evaluating, introspecting, and strategizing on what you're doing. And when you spend a little bit of time to understand what you enjoy, to understand where the opportunities are, it may result into something that may be new.
Mm,
But like I said, it's more to do with what you believe is the right way to move forward than for it to become something which is new. I mean, sometimes, if you look at some of the social media companies around the world, they were not the first such idea, but they just did the same thing in a much better way.
right.
So it's important that you take out enough time to understand what's your calling, what you enjoy doing, and then something will come out of it.
Right. I think I totally agree. I think you've hit the nail on the head on this question. So, now to the next question. I am the head prefect of my school and I enjoy doing my duties. So, do you enjoy being the head of your business and does everybody agree to whatever you say? If not, how do you manage it?
That's a very good question. So, of course, I had the business, and in all honesty, I enjoy every bit of that. But it's more important that I continue to contribute towards the growth of the company. Now, no big company can be created by an individual, and it is at the end of it a team that creates an organization over a long period of time. And therefore, as part of a team building process, it's very important that I have people in my team who agree with me, but it's equally important to have people in the team who disagree with me.
Right.
Because if I'm not able to convince my team members of what my stand is, how will we as a company go out and convince anybody outside of the organization,
Right,
right?
right.
I think it's a very healthy environment when you have people within your team who don't always agree with you. And it may be sometimes, in fact, often happens that what they say makes more sense. So it is not about who is saying it is about what is right for the organization.
Mm.
So I think that's a good balance that as a leader one needs to maintain, of having people who agree with you and not agree with you.
Right. Even for myself as the head prefect, all my deputy head prefects sometimes don't agree with me. So, we work on projects, and sometimes I realize the same thing as you just mentioned that, sometimes those people that do not agree with whatever I say are actually sometimes correct. And, in some
Yeah,
situations, like a recent project we had done, those people who had disagreed actually made the project even better. So, I
yeah,
think
true.
you have said something that is quite true when it comes to a business or even just something small like a school. So now, next, they say the primary route to success is failure. Now, do you agree with this statement? Because I can't imagine failing and then being successful. So don't people look down upon you when you fail?
I mean, you cannot be dictated by what others feel about you. You have to do your own thing. You have to have your own conviction. uh, your success or failure will decide how people look at you, but what is more important is to keep the head on the ground. uh, what is more important is to keep head over shoulders. And in fact, if you look at my journey, when I left banking, when I left the fund,
Right?
and I got into it, I actually started with a business that was very different from what we do today. And that business failed. That business failed for reasons that were beyond my control. As an idea, it was a little earlier than, it's a little too early as an idea.
Mm,
We learned a lot from it. I mean, it's important, therefore, that when you fail, you take a step back and see why you fail.
mm,
What is it that you could have done better? And we did exactly that. In fact, we realized why we were not able to succeed, and within that failure there was an opportunity that we decided would become our journey for the next few years. So yes, it is tough. Nobody loves to fail, But there are enough stories around the world of successful people who failed not once but many times before they became
Mm,
successful.
right.
And like it is said, every failure gives you one way of not doing something successfully.
Mm,
So I think you have to just keep moving on. As long as you have faith in yourself, you have belief in yourself, you should keep doing your stuff, follow your passion, lead the company to the best of your abilities, and then let your work speak for yourself. If you are successful, everybody will appreciate you for what you're doing. But
mm,
the same people will probably criticize you, for the same things if you're not successful.
right.
So it's important not to think beyond what is in your control. Let people have their own opinions, but just focus on doing good work.
Mm. Yeah, I think I totally agree because failure gives us the opportunity to reflect and see on our look at our mistakes, and it also teaches us how to be successful the next time we face the same situation. So,
Yep.
next, they say leaders always lead by example. So, how is this important for being a good leader?
Very important. Firstly, what happens, that a lot of times you may be leading a team wherein there are people who may be more experienced than you, or people who may be senior than you.
True.
They'll be older than you, for example. And then, when you are giving an instruction to them, there may be some interpersonal conflicts that may arise out of it. And the only way, therefore, for to convince your team that what your vision is something that is the right direction to move in, is to show it by an example. There have been many cases wherein I have followed exactly that. I have to take a lead and show the path on how things could move within the company, and then train the employees to take that direction. So it's this has been spoken all over the world that you have to lead by example, and
Yes.
that's why exactly you're called a leader. So I completely agree with it.
Yes, I totally agree with what you have said. So, actually, we learn in school this habit called modeling the way. So, we learn that leaders should always lead by example, and I think I have deepened my belief by your answer. So, now at times I have faced situations where my team members agree to do something only if I do something in return. So, just I'm curious to know, did you face anything like this before? And how do you overcome these challenges?
uh, quite a few times, honestly. But that's where your negotiation skill comes in a way, right? It's about, uh, if I can convince my team members or my colleagues to work in the direction that I want them to, is a lot dependent on how well I'm able to convince them, and therefore my negotiation skills.
Right.
So, as a leader, one needs to have that. And at the same time, you know, uh, every relationship is a two-way process, right? So, when you expect your team members to achieve a certain target or a milestone, the team members or your colleagues also expect something out of you. So it's only fair that they expect something in return. And sometimes these may not be very tangible returns. Sometimes it could be just a word of appreciation, or
Mm,
sometimes it could be just some monetary benefit. The the value of that could be anything, but or sometimes just appreciation in public or appreciation within other team members.
mm,
So I think it's fair that they expect something because it's human nature, but it is important that you are able to convince them to follow your instructions, and believe in those uh, you know on their own, and that comes from some negotiation skills all of the time.
yes, that's quite very true. I think I will try and use that those negotiation skills with my team members when this HBL period ends. Now, next, do you ever feel that you are the head of your business because you are the best, better than all the rest? Or do you listen to your team members or just do what you want?
That's very interesting, because So for certain, at least I can speak for myself, I certainly believe I'm not the best. But what happens is, you can be in a position of leadership because of something that you've done right. Uh, in my case, for example, I took the lead in setting up this venture and I ended up becoming a leader, right? But that's not where the job ends. If I don't continue to do well, tomorrow I may be replaced by another leader, for example.
Right.
So it is extremely important to continue to evolve as a leader, to learn, to customize, to understand, to negotiate. There's a whole lot of attributes and qualities and skills that one is required
Right.
to have to be successful as a leader. But coming back to your question, I'm sure there are qualities about my team members and colleagues which are better than mine. It's human. It's it's how it is. But there is a slightly different quality which is called leadership in our discussion, which basically brings everything together.
Right.
And somewhere I feel I have been able to successfully deliver that quality within my team members, or even with the outside world.
Yes.
And I've been able to lead therefore a team of very, very energetic and dynamic team members. But I'm definitely not the best. Absolutely.
I think in simple terms, what you mean is even though you are the head of your business, you have to adapt to different circumstances whenever the situation calls for it.
Absolutely.
Right. Now, you have given me a lot of valuable tips, but I can't let you go without asking this question. Now, I am a big foodie and I have heard that you are a very big foodie too. So, why didn't you start a food business?
You know, I would have eaten all the food in my restaurant. No, but on a more serious note, I mean, you like doing a lot of things in life, you enjoy doing a lot of things, but you don't pursue or, each of these. You have to make a choice, right? Is it my love for food greater than my love for cinema, or is it my love for cinema greater than my love for banking?
Right.
So you can't do too many things, but I can tell you a secret. At some point in time, I'll have my own food place.
Oh, I will definitely will visit that food place. So, just before we sign off, I have just one last question. What would be your final piece of advice for kids of my age group who are about to move into the next stage of the learning journey of their life?
Well, firstly, I think it's very commendable that Rushal, at your age, you are experiencing leadership, and it's extremely important to continue delivering on the responsibilities that you have as a leader. It's a huge responsibility, but at the same time, uh, you know, uh, when we were growing up, obviously things were different. Opportunities were lesser than it is today. I think it's very important, and it's good, that you started to think on these lines. I mean, at your age, I didn't even probably understand the true meaning of leadership, and here you are talking to me about leadership. So, kids are much smarter now at a much younger stage, and I think keep doing the right thing, keep having faith in yourself, keep thinking on what you're enjoying. It will be around you. The signs are around you. You should keep your ears open, your eyes open, and then you'll find your own calling. For some people, it takes many years and they don't find their calling, but there are some that find their calling at some point in time.
Right.
So the more open you are to the environment around you, I think you'll find your calling, and then you'll be extremely successful, and at the same time enjoy what you're doing.
Right.
So I wish you good luck. I thoroughly enjoyed this session. It's different talking to a young person like you on how they perceive leadership,
Thank you very
and I'm
much.
sure I'm taking away something for myself also from this session.
So, thank you, Mr. Abhay Anand Singh, for sharing your experiences with me. I am sure your inputs will be very useful in shaping the thoughts of the future youth leaders. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sushil, and good luck to you.
That's all for now. Thank you, everyone, for listening to my podcast. I hope you found it interesting. Do like the podcast and give me your feedback. Goodbye.